Well, why Boyington? What prompted you to write about Boyington? Your last book was on the Raiders, the first American Commandos unit. What prompted you to write a book about a Marine aviator in general, and particularly Pappy Boyington?
I had always been interested in the history of the Marine Corps, and had written a few other books about different battles of World War II, etc. So when I was looking around for another topic for the next book, I did some basic research in Boyington, whom I knew, like many other people in the United States, from watching the television series. And I found in the research that Boyington was an incredible success with the Black Sheep, and yet about a year before that he was a miserable failure with the Flying Tigers, the AVG. And I wondered what caused that. What could make a man turn from a failure into a success in that shorter period of time? And so that's what really brought me to the book.
You know, in the book you describe Boyington as a man of incredible accomplishments sprinkled among deplorable shortcomings. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, Boyington, the incredible accomplishments, of course, would be his service in World War II with the Black Sheep, where he was awarded the Medal of Honor, shooting down 26 Japanese aircraft, etc. His shortcomings sort of occurred before that and after that. It was almost like the accomplishments were an oasis of sanity in a world of insanity for Boyington. He had shortcomings as a family member. Not only his own parents were absentee, then he became an absentee father to his children. Money problems, every stage of his life, to the extent where the Marines had to arrange with his creditors to schedule payments to pay off his bills. The drinking occurred at a very early age. He was one, if he had a problem, turned to the bottle as his solution. During the war, he had some other personal shortcomings that would be quite offensive to Marines or to any military, where he might fudge on some of the records and claim he shot down a couple of enemy aircraft when possibly the records could not validate that.
That's very interesting. You know, you did mention the TV series from a few decades back. Well, what I found interesting in reading the book was that the portrayal of the pilots in the series was certainly not the reality, that they were not the, as how should I put it, the dregs or the brigs, but were really quite accomplished individuals and went on to quite significant accomplishments later in their life. I suppose that was Hollywood largesse, or Hollywood playing fast and loose with the truth?
It certainly was. That's an understatement to say they played fast and loose with the truth. These pilots were very gifted men, gifted aviators, and after the war they were successes. One lived near me, Fred Avey, just 2 miles from where I'm from, and I talked to him about it, and the reaction to that TV series was, "Give me a break." You know, the only thing accurate about it was that we flew Corsairs. Those were pretty much his exact words. The Black Sheep were very upset with Pappy for cooperating with that, which he did for, because Hollywood threw a pile of cash his way. So Boyington saw that as a way of solving some problems monetarily. But the Black Sheep detested that series.
You talked about his leadership in combat, his skill as an aviator. What I also found interesting in the book was he was shot down and became a prisoner of war. Was that another moment where you would say that he shone?
The two areas of his life would be the Black Sheep and his time in prison camp. A man named Hap Halloran, who spent time in prison camp with Boyington and became a lifelong friend after that, and actually delivered his eulogy. Halloran told me that when he saw Pappy walk into prison camp, said, "I knew I was going to survive, because above all, Pappy was going to make it. And if Pappy was going to make it, so would I." And Halloran told me that during the time Boyington was in camp, he would go out of his way to help the other guys, to talk to them, to counsel them, to encourage them to hang on under tough circumstances.
Obviously a flawed hero, but there are things we can also learn from flawed heroes. If you were going to give a few things in Pappy Boyington's life that Marines of today should emulate, what would they be?
Well, his commitment to excellence in the one area he knew, and that was the cockpit of an aircraft. everything else in his life was totally out of control and madness, but when he stepped into an airplane and sat down there, he knew what he was doing, and so he did everything he could to become even better at that and impart that to his black sheep. Practice, practice, practice. Know your aircraft. Be prepared. Those kinds of things. So even though he was a shambles in most areas, that one arena in which he felt confident in, he put 100% effort into it. And I would say that would be the lesson.
Well, thank you very much. I highly recommend the book. It is a crackling good read. I learned a lot about Marine Corps history from reading the book, and I learned a lot about Pappy Boyington that I never learned watching television.
Hey, thanks.
It's a great book. Thank you very much.
Appreciate those kind words. Thank you.